All right, so this is episode 31 of Oluswole, the podcast on the budget. I'm excited to welcome our guest. She is an entrepreneur, a UX guru, and a volleyball player. Ceci, what's good?
Hello.
Yeah, excited to have you on the pod. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Feeling nice. Just finished a lot of work, so just a bit tired.
Yeah, grind time never stops.
No, literally it doesn't.
What's been the haps?
I don't even know how I would describe what I've been up to. It's just been catching up on a lot of work. Yeah, and then figuring out what summer plans are gonna look like.
Okay.
So a lot of those talks. Yeah.
Good stuff. Fun stuff in the works. I met you at the beginning of sophomore year. You're from Apopka, Florida.
Yes,
which
from
you
the
call,
A. From the A.
I don't know about that.
Whatever, it's my A.
When people say the A, they're talking about Atlanta, Georgia, not Apopka, Florida. So
don't care. We'll already claim it because I've lived in Atlanta, so I feel like I have the right to reclaim what the A is.
You lived in Atlanta? Oh.
I lived in I don't remember what it's like a neighborhood, Lawrenceville. That's what it's called. Oh. But it's close to Atlanta. I lived there for half of my elementary school years. Yeah, I lived with my mom.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Tell me about Apopka for people who don't know. What's it like?
Apopka is it's actually a very special place to me that I didn't think I would have this fondness to. It's a small city, maybe 20 minutes north of Orlando. We have rivers. That's our thing. We have rivers, and we have a really cool high school with a lot of ridiculous athletes, and there's never anything to do, but I really I don't know, kind of miss the small town vibes, suburbs, but there's not really anything to pizzazz. Well, we are the indoor foliage capital of the country. Used to be potato capital of the country, but Idaho.
Yeah. Idaho stole your thunder.
No, literally.
They stole your potatoes too.
They stole our potatoes. Maybe our formulas for how to make potatoes, but not the potatoes themselves.
They pulled a plankton on you guys. They got the secret formula.
No, they did. They figured it out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't really know what else there is to say about Apopka. It's more of the community there and people's social interactions, and that's Apopka.
When you talk about small town vibes, like you mentioned, is it just when you're walking around in the store, you always see someone that you know, and it's everywhere you go, everyone kind of knows each other?
Yeah, no, that sounds absolutely abysmal. We have 40,000 people, so it's enough people to not feel like it's actually the same people you're seeing over and over. But if I go to a grocery store, if I go anywhere else, you won't know the people who are in the store, but you'll know the workers, and you'll develop a connection with the workers, and you'll talk about their kids, and you'll literally see people grow up, and it's so cute. But that's the only point of consistency there.
That's cool. Yeah, that seems dope. When you're telling people you're from Florida, though, do you say you're from Apopka, or do you say I'm from the Orlando area, or OC?
OC. We are in Orange County, but I usually I just say I'm from Florida. Oh my God, which part? I'm close to Orlando. I should start repping the A more often, but I don't really find myself needing to, I guess.
Why not?
I don't know. What is there to explain? It's I'm from Apopka, Florida. Where is that? North of Orlando. It's going to be the same exact conversation, except you're going to know my city's name is a little bit strange. Yeah.
Apoptropica.
Apoptropica. That's how I make, if people are having a hard time pronouncing it, I just tell them Poptropica, Apoptropica, Apopka.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's really smart. Going into volleyball, though, because you said Apopka has ridiculous athletes, right? So, you'll play for Winter Park. You're going crazy, letting your presence know. You also play for Top Select. That was beach volleyball. How did you get into volleyball in the first place?
Yeah, it was really just a friend that I had who was playing the sport, and I was this looks cool. knee pads go burr. Like that was it. I had no other reason to choose it. It was also really accessible in the sense that it's not a sport that you can practice on your own. So not that accessible, like basketball, but we have beach volleyball courts everywhere. We have like sand courts. We had this like recreation place. It was called Pond Can. It was called Pond Can. Yeah, all these names are actually obscure now that I'm saying it out loud. But there's this rec place called Pond Can, and there was so many fields to do everything. And the only organized thing that didn't seem like it needed a lot of support from a child, like support from childhood, was volleyball. You won't see someone playing like just going into soccer when they're 14. So it just seemed the most accessible sport for the age that I started at.
Did you actually like it at first, or did it take a while for you to really like get accustomed to it and all that?
Yeah, I don't think I had an opinion on the sport itself. I thought it was fun to be playing a sport. I really liked the people who I started playing with, and then I just kept going from there. The competitive bone or like the love of the sport didn't start until years after I started.
That's when you got elite. That's when you started playing for Winter Park, you know?
Yeah. Once I started playing for Winter Park, I took it way more seriously. I think I was unable to think that anything would be serious if I wasn't doing the college route or the the general recruitment route, and I knew I was never going to be good enough for that, nor did I care for that. So I never thought I could be serious, but just having I think what made me take it seriously was the teammates and being there for other people, knowing that a team is required to reach even individual goals.
And I guess that's something that you could probably apply in like other aspects of life, you know, like, you know, 3 heads are bigger than 1. So you got to put them together and or at least in volleyball, maybe 6 heads are better than 1. So you got to put them together to try to, you know, achieve a common goal. That's really inspirational right there.
Really inspirational.
Yeah.
I mean, it really never seemed like a common goal. Like, yes, winning is a common goal, or like winning a game or winning a comp or et cetera, et cetera. But I think the bigger goals were like, hey, there's this one girl who really wants to do well, really wants to go to a good school for volleyball, and there's always going to be coaches showing up, but she's a hitter, so we always need to make sure that we give her like the best types of sets to best show off her work. So it became a collaborative effort even when you were trying to reach individual goals. Like, hey, we need to make sure like we're doing our best to support her, not just, hey, we're here for you, but actually showing it on the court.
Yeah, I get that. You got to make sure everybody eats, you know? Everyone's trying to achieve their goals, so yeah.
Yeah. There was maybe half of the girls went off to college to do volleyball.
How many people were on the team? Because half is a big percentage.
There was probably like 12 girls.
Yeah, 6 out of 12 going to college for volleyball.
Maybe 10. Yeah. A couple girls dropped in the middle of the season, but probably like 10 to 12 by the end of the season. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, why do they drop? Because of the pressure? Is it like difficult?
It's not even the pressure. It's just, it's difficult to navigate because it takes so much time, and it does start becoming a mental toll if you don't have it fully in you. And since I was working with older girls, you could tell that they were losing it, like they were losing interest. And it was especially the people who weren't interested in recruiting. Sometimes they would just skip practice or just like skip workouts. But I don't even look down on it because it was honestly a really intensive process. And even I didn't know it was going to be this intensive when I walked into this. But yeah, a couple girls just like left halfway through.
I mean, you still made it to the end, right? Went all the way. So
yeah, made it to the end.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Speaking of volleyball, like I know there's 6 positions. There's like the offside. No, sorry. There's a libero, there's a setter. What did you play?
I played for a majority of the time that I played volleyball. I played middle because I was the tallest one, but then I just stopped being the tallest one. But then I transitioned to being a pin hitter. So either being outside or on the right side, but never back row. I cannot pass a ball to save my life.
Oh.
But yeah.
It'd be hard to do it because like I've only played volleyball a handful of times. You're trying to, I don't know what it's called, but like do that little thing with pass, yeah, and like it hits your wrist and it just bounces off, and it's like wow.
No, a lot of learning volleyball, I feel like a lot of my process of learning volleyball was like it's not like the cartoons. Like it's not what you think it is. So it doesn't actually go on your wrist. It's supposed to go on this area. Like when you pass it up to have the most amount of ball control. And I don't know. I was kind of just stubborn and I didn't have my mind in it on like, okay, I'm always going to be a middle. I'm literally never going to be back row. I would always do the drills, but it would never be a priority. Like I would never set aside time during private lessons. Like, hey, let me do passing. I maybe did it once out of the like dozens of times that I did private lessons, and I got frustrated and I was just like, no. Like I have a lot of regrets when it comes to volleyball. Just like the process through, but I'm really happy with what I did throughout the last year of volleyball. Yeah.
What'd you do? What was special about it?
Like I actually put my entire being into it. I no longer compartmentalize myself as, okay, I'm a hitter. I'm going to do this thing. Of course I have to participate in drills, but I'm not really going to like, I don't know how to explain not caring when you're playing a sport. It's not like I didn't do it. It's just, I guess you could measure it by saying I didn't beat myself up about it if I didn't do it well, because I didn't think it was needed. But honestly, it always is. And I just took volleyball way more seriously afterwards, during my last season, because we had finite competitions too. So I was like, okay, I actually want to win this.
You talked about, the last you're competing for a title in the last year. Like, was it some sort of divisional, championship, or how's it like?
Yeah, so we had a set of competitions we were going to do. It was all during the last 3 weeks of the season. Or no, last 2 weeks of the season. And it was just back to back to back. There was one, I completely forgot all the names of the competitions, but the last one, except for the General AAU Nationals, was at Disney. Like, that's so much fun.
Whoa, and that's crazy.
Well, it was at the convention center for most of the days, and then it like ended up being at Disney. But you don't actually get to go to Disney. It's just like the what is it called? The stadium, I guess, gym, I guess. Okay. That Disney owns. But all the other ones were like, I really want to go to this place. I really want to go to the beach. I really want to go to Tampa. Which was cute to stay in Florida. Like, it was an emphasis on staying in Florida, but going more outside than just Orlando, because that's all I really touched. Ah,
interesting. How'd you guys fare?
We won. We won most things.
Sir.
I just have, I have a silver medal from the last competition, and then I have a gold medal under, like, a certain division of, like, a bracket for, like, the second to last competition, which was that big... I want to say big data, but it's so not big data. Like, I cannot remember the names of these stadiums or the competitions themselves. But yeah, we won like most things, or like got to like second or third. Yeah.
Y'all were solid.
Yeah. Like girls are definitely solid. Yeah.
For sure.
I was just going to say that like the competitions that we participated in were very... Like, we almost knew all of the other girls. Most of the times that we would compete, we would know at least another person who was in the tournament, let alone most of the times competed against someone that we would know, whether that be, like, same school or just have competed in the past. I didn't get to, like, experience going out of state, going to California, doing this like crazy competition, meeting like all these new people. It was more of like exploring, in the confines of Florida. But yeah.
I'm sure some of those games must have been personal then, because it's like, oh, the libero on the other team, you got to make sure, you leave a mark,
Yeah.
leave it etched in their memory.
Yeah. It was funny because I'd mostly see girls from my last volleyball club. So I did top select for most of my time. And then I did Winter Park during the last year. And it would always just be like, hey, girly. And it would be mostly the coaches that I'd go up to. I'm like, hey, guys. It's like, yeah, it's always cute to like meet up.
That's dope. But moving away from volleyball, I know you do little UX, when it comes to designing websites and stuff, which I think is really cool. I don't have a lot of experience. I don't have any experience doing that. Tell me how you got into UX and like what you like about it.
Yeah, I don't know what was wrong with me, but I would always make like a website when I needed to do any type of presentation. Me trying to be extra, like always growing up. I found out what Wix.com was and I would not leave it alone. I was like, it's free. No. And I would just mess around with templates and I don't know, always just use a website to present things. Like I remember that was a thing. And then here and there, I would need to build websites for family friends or a friend who's starting up like a little bakery and wants to just put her business on there. Like it was always like a business that I was doing a website for. And it was always really technical, like set up the software stuff, like the payment processor, connect everything. During freshman year, the winter break between first and second semester of freshman year of Penn, I got reached out by, her name is Maria, and she said that she was really overwhelmed by having to explain herself all the time and like business cards don't work. And I was like, no, I'll just like build you a website. And it was a really collaborative, it was the first project I got paid real money for. And it was really nice to just do everything, as in we started off with just, oh, I need a website, cool, I can like build you this, but then we just started putting so many plugins and so many things to make the system more efficient, of just making it easier for her to do these meetings, especially with COVID. And yeah, I was like, wow, I can make money out of this. It's kind of cool. And within that process, I also got to do design work with promotional materials and logo work and the design of the website itself. I fell in love with the design part, and then from there on, I just kept doing it, for money.
I mean, you're doing the design, the logos, constructing the payment process. I mean, what didn't you do,
Yeah, the only thing I didn't do was collect my clients. Like, I sent that task over to a friend from home. His name is James, and we like colluded, and I was like, hey, I'll pay you like X amount of dollars for every single client you bring me, because I just didn't have it in me to go out and I did the cold calling email thing for a while. I had no conception of what true marketing was. And the advertising part itself, I had no hand in, but the building of the platforms or the products themselves, that was all me. Yeah.
That's so cool to me. Like the fact that someone went out of their way to reach out to you and say, hey, I need you to help me design something or create something for me. Like, that's just so cool. And you're getting a bag whilst doing that. I mean,
yeah,
dream come true.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I don't see it as that much of a passion in itself, the process of doing website building, but I've truly fell in love with the design process of how, like, what logos are we going to do? How is our packaging going to look like? Me having to read color theory books, me having to read systems books and figuring out what animation is coolest to scroll down with or something. I think I just see the beauty in the final project, and the part that excites me the most is pretty colors, pretty designs. I was able to put that together.
Yeah, that sounds cool. And based on what you just described, it seems like you have really close attention to detail, and you have to really make sure that every aspect is like on top. So like, how do you go about, just managing everything, like making sure that everything is on point?
Yeah, it's a lot of calls back and forth with whoever the main person is, whether or not it's the business owner, if it's their outreach specialist, etc. But I think the best example of that was probably dealing with Chunda, making the bonfire website. I will forever regret telling him that I could like I told him I could make him a website for his birthday. LOL. And he's like, oh, I've been needing a website. And I'm like, perfect. I thought it was going to be a resume website. Absolutely not. And then we were doing everything. We would modify like, hey, I don't like how this interacts. Let's do this instead. But at some point, he wanted to integrate a video. I put it in. There was something wrong with that file. There was something corrupt. It messed up the entire structure of the website. And I was just like, oh my God, I refuse to do this again. Like, I refuse to just start over and do this again. And because of that, I guess that was like my biggest lesson, that sometimes it is best to just start over at the very beginning. So being able to manage, I think the biggest problem is managing my own workflow, not even like the website, like attention to detail of the website itself, because the owner will always catch what they don't like about it. But figuring out how to solve that problem in the most efficient way is like always a work in process.
It's a very interesting story. Episode with Chunda, episode 5 of Oluswole. You can go tap in with that. Gotta advertise. Moving away from, UX, I know that you're a bit of an entrepreneur. You started a few things here and there. And I know that you started your own tutoring service, and you also taught English at Institute Islam in the DR, the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
Like, that's really cool to me. Tell me how, you got into that.
Okay, I was literally about to ask which one do you want me to answer, because I see them as two different concepts, but I just realized that both of them are teaching. Yeah. But they just felt like such different interactions. So with tutoring itself, it was math tutoring that I was doing at Apopka High School, and it was under I've always been a math kid, as in I've never been a reading kid, but because I was able to focus on, I knew this was something that I didn't suck at. I always had a fond relationship with math. And it never felt like work. It felt like enjoyment. It felt like the equivalent of someone going to their design class, in high school. I got my freshman year high school volleyball coach. Her name is Miss Anderson. She was my calculus teacher. That woman's an angel, and she helped me out with way more than just math. And I realized that a big reason why I was able to zoom through any concept presented in math was because of the relationships that I had that taught me. So my father was the first one that taught me the foundational principles of calculus. Everything before up to the foundational principles of calculus when I was middle school type B. And I because it was so personal and it was so much of a not judgment free zone, I was able to for a long story short, learning was easy. So when senior year came around, I had to lead a math club. I was like, I don't really know what we do in math club, but what have you guys done in the past? And a majority of it had to do with tutoring. And our initial base of clientele was Miss Anderson. Her name is Coach Anderson. Her husband is the football coach. And one day, maybe 25 people on the football team just walked in, simultaneously. I was like, are we supposed to tutor all of them? And I was like, yeah, no. They're if they don't pass a specific math class by this time, they literally can't play. So it almost felt like a mechanism behind whether or not this person would achieve their passions. I understand you're not passionate about math, but I know you're passionate about football. So you're gonna put the umph in, I guess. And being able to talk to kids, I'm saying kids, they were all older than me. But being able to talk to your peers in a really I don't know, teaching people in a non-pretentious manner, in a non-formalized manner as you would get tutored by your teacher is really comforting for kids. And they're more susceptible to being wrong. So you catch when they're wrong more often. So yeah, that was a really efficient system that I found. and trying to like maximize grade differences through peer tutoring.
You had a plan. One with a plan.
No, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I did a little bit of math tutoring, like serving as a tutor for math, like in 10th grade with one of my friends. He was on episode 2. And yeah, it's just, I kind of get what you said about how it's a lot easier to just interact with people who are your peers when it comes to teaching them, because you're not talking down to them. You're talking like to them, like, laterally. Yeah. So you can really, I feel like they're more receptive when you're trying to instruct them with regards to how to do better and stuff. So
yeah. Well, it's also easier because you can make ridiculous jokes. You can, like, the way that I explained, because you just had to memorize what the like immediate derivatives were of trig functions. Like sine was a boy, cosine was a girl, x was and then like everything was in relation to that. And all of the analogies that I made were obscure, made no sense, had barely anything to do with the actual concept of the like material itself. But when you have to learn just for memory, so as like if it's the SAT or if it's the beginnings of a calculus class, you just need to have the foundation on, and it's easiest to do with, I don't know, obscure terms or analogies.
Yeah, and those be the ones that are the most memorable too, like mnemonics, jokes, acrostic poems, anything like that. Yeah, sticking your head real quick, real nice, real nice, real nice.
That's also how I studied for and am studying for art history, because a lot of paintings have something very strange about them, and you're able to make a joke, and you'll always remember the joke. You always remember who did it itself, and you start developing a personality for the artist itself, and you'll see a consistent theme. I don't know. It's study tips from Ceci. Just make obscure jokes about everything that you need to remember.
Study tips from a scholar. I mean,
no,
must mean something, you know?
No, yeah. It's just easy. Yeah. I guess it's just the absurdity.
Definitely sticks in your head. And then at Institute Inslam, was that in Santo Domingo in the DR?
Yeah, that was in the Dominican Republic. I got the opportunity to spend a summer. Oh my God. But
LinkedIn type beat.
LinkedIn type beat. But no, yeah, I got an opportunity to go teach an English class, and it was really like, it was supposed to be really formal with a set textbook and everything, and I was like, I really don't want to do this. And it ended up being me and a bunch of students sitting in a circle, our desks facing each other, and just having conversations. I made them make Twitter accounts. I made them make, they would have to tweet at people. A lot of it revolved around political discussions. It was also because I knew nothing about the political climate of the Dominican Republic. So it was a topic that I knew zero information on, and it seemed like everyone there was really excited or fervent about talking about injustices that they're saying like in their own country. And as long as you have that fervor, it'll be hard, because they're learning English, it's hard to just say out the words that you were trying to say in your head. But because you're trying to make a point and you're trying to keep consistent tone, it almost like streamlines the process of having an accent more comfortable with English. Yeah.
It's a good strategy. I never thought of it like that. Because I would think if you're teaching language to people who don't know it, you probably be starting with, the basics and going through the alphabet, but...
Yeah, I did not start off with... Yeah, these were students that... They were mainly like around like 19 to 21, 22-ish, and they've already been doing English for maybe 4 or 5 years. It was more of instead of saying my favorite color is red, it's like, oh, I really like the color red. It's like way like streamlining the sentences, more colloquial talk, et cetera, which I think it's really difficult to find from a textbook. Like, I'm sure you can outline it there, but it's easier like through just conversation. Like, there's no lecturing needed for that.
For sure, yeah. Like, there's no better experience than actually immersing yourself in a language through engaging in dialogue you'd normally engage in. Like, when I was living in the UAE, official language is Arabic. We had to learn Arabic for the first few years when we were little kids. And I know the rules and like I know the alphabet, But my Arabic speaking friends would be telling me like, yeah, that's not how we speak Arabic.
Yeah, but I don't even think it has to be reduced as much to like formal colloquial, like at a job internship or at a job interview versus like talking to your friends. It almost seemed like this is how everyone speaks, but you just have to put it in a formalized way, because if not, the sentences won't make sense. But most language, or most like transition of thought, I think most efficiently happens through just colloquial speak. Mm-hmm. But I actually wonder which way would be easier to teach someone from the beginning. Like, obviously you have to teach someone the words themselves and like basic sentence structure. But I wonder if it's better to put someone through a more linear path, make it as professional speak, I guess, as possible. Or if it's like, okay, throw them into this country and like make them figure out like the regional dialects.
I definitely think it's the second one. Because I feel like once you get thrown into a country where no one speaks your language, it's like learn it or die. It's like, you have no choice.
Learn or die. Do you think that was like necessary? Did you feel that learn or die like variable when you were in this country, when you were in the UAE?
Oh, in the UAE?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Because the official language is Arabic, but you see, the UAE is like, I think around 85 or 89% foreign. So everyone speaks English.
Yeah.
And all the signs are in English and Arabic. So yeah, everyone spoke English. It was fine for me.
That's so disappointing that the overall language is English. Like, you would think it's anything that's there. Like, if anything, it's the Arab. If anything, I would think it's Arabic because so many people speak that language. Like billions, correct?
Worldwide? Probably millions. I wouldn't say billions. Probably.
Really? Like, I feel like the major languages are...
Because there are 8 billion people in the world, so you need 2 billion for billions, you know?
Fair enough.
So I say
probably not multiple billions.
Yeah.
Got it.
But like a hella people. Like, definitely top 10.
Top 10 languages, for sure. Arabic, top 10 languages. You just gotta start listening. Yeah. I think... It was probably learn or die when I was in the DR, but it was like, I don't know, I had my mom, and my mom could like figure out a lot of things for me. Even though Spanish was my first language, I like lost a lot of the talking to a regular person Spanish by the time I was 7, because I just had my entire day in English, and then at the end of the day I would speak to my mother, but it was limited to the, hey, dinner is ready, talking about your day, whatever. But I couldn't really describe anything about myself in Spanish. And I was just like, okay, I don't really think I can speak to anyone right now. I actually need to speak Spanish. So it wasn't really a problem of navigating the country. It was more of talking to my relatives, or like connecting with my relatives. And I had a pretty good foundation of Spanish. Like, a regular person would think like it's my first language by the time I was 16 or 16/17, the last time I went to the DR. But I now speak Spanish to my parents like through FaceTime, and it's so embarrassing. I sound like a white girl. Like, I sound like an American learning Spanish. Like, I've never spoken this like language before I was 14 or something. And I don't know. I just need to get thrown back into that country. Just no one speaks to me in English, so I can figure this out again.
Okay. Vale. I'll start now.
Dale. No, yeah. But there's like English words around the country, but there's not really the English signs unless you're in the major cities. So, yeah.
Like Punta Cana, Santo Domingo.
Yeah, because that's where the tourists are. And that's where it would have the most amount of utility. But something like Higüey, which is the city that my family's from, it is a big, prominent city. It has the basilica, and it's like the Catholic capital of the Caribbean or something like that. And we have important structures there, but it's not, because there's no tourists coming in, because the importance doesn't come from an American or like an English-speaking country, then you don't really see the English adjacent signs and stuff like that.
Interesting, yeah. It makes sense, you know, because there aren't many English people out there. Why would they have signs in English?
But there's so many English schools. Like, there's probably more English schools than there are regular public high schools or regular public like secondary school. I don't think it's like high school. Like it's so profitable. You like, because everyone is trying to make their kid just learn English so you can get out of the country, get out of the city. The only way you can get a good job is if you speak English. The only way you can work in banking is if you speak English, even though you probably won't be interacting in English that much. It's just a status symbol of, hey, you're an intelligent person because you speak English. Here, we'll grant you access to this university. And it's so profitable. It's profitable in the way that, like, in the U.S., college admissions advice is profitable.
It's like, I don't know, social advancement gold right there.
No, it is. It applies so much social capital, even though it doesn't have that much utility if you're staying inside of your city, because it's built, because it almost seems like our city, like I can't really speak for a lot of other cities, but it seems a lot like our city is trying to not only urbanize, but Americanize or Westernize, I guess, their country as much as possible, because that's seen as the equivalent to, I guess, goodness. Yeah. It's honestly really sad, because if I think of memories of when I was younger visiting, maybe when I was 12 or 13, and there's motorcycles everywhere. I would maybe see like one car every 100 vehicles, and the roads are built for motorcycles. You could tell there was public transport, but it was like a little bus, and it was so compact. It was, I'm actually gonna look up what the name is later, but like everything was just, it was a very urban area without it actually being a city. I don't know how to explain it. But it felt very tight knit. It felt like distinct from other places. But now I go back to Higüey, and then there's the equivalent to Walmart there. And I'm like, what happened to like El Colmados, which is like a bodega? And it's like a bodega and just a corner store. And what happened, like the biggest version of that was maybe the equivalent to a farmer's market. And there's no longer any of that. Now I see 70% cars, 30% motorcycles, and half of the fun of going to the DR was knowing that if you wanted to take a taxi, you're riding a motorcycle. And yeah, a lot of elements that I attributed to the goodness or the communal aspect of Higüey are just going away the more commercialized the area becomes.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, globalization, and a little bit of gentrification. It's not, it's kind of eroding some of the culture, I guess. You see that in a lot of places around the world, so sucks to see. But, hopefully it can still retain its value, its cultural, like original cultural value in the future. But we'll see how it goes,
Yeah, the extent to which it, I guess, will remain is through the family itself and like the proximity that we have to each other. Like we all live on the same street, like essentially the same street. And the food, honestly, I think that's the extent to the cultural aspects that I will keep close to me. But it no longer feels like going to a different place when I go to Higüey. It's just seeing different people. Besides like the no energy thing, that's ridiculous. That'll remind me that I'm in the Dominican Republic. Yeah.
Like no energy, like in the city or in the country or on your end? What do you mean?
Like, this isn't a real number, but it feels like 80% of the country where they just turn off the electricity. The electricity is on for a scheduled amount of time. It averages 6 hours a day. So the schedule like will be plus or minus 30 minutes of 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and then 7 p.m. like to 10 p.m. and you'll have power. It's like you can turn on the air conditioning and the fan and wash your clothes, but then after that you like can't. And it turns on and off because we have a finite amount of resources. But in Punta Cana, 24/7. Even if like you don't live on a resort, like it's on 24/7. Or Santo Domingo, it's on most of the time if you're close to where the city officials live. But if you're not, then like no. And yeah, no, it's ridiculous. It's like the only thing, it's probably one of the only things that would keep me from living there.
I see. It's a bit of inequality, I see.
I mean, I guess. It's just like, it's just something that I've always attributed to the DR. Like, get prepared. Bring your fan. Bring your physical fan. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But the scorching heat isn't too bad. If you live in an elevated place, like if you have a second or third story, the wind feels really good as long as you don't have anything blocking the windows. And like, yeah, I love it there. The weather's great. Everything's nice. But yeah, I do miss it.
I need to slide to the DR. I haven't been to that part of the world, like the Caribbean. I've never been to that part of the world, so
yeah,
I need to slide there.
If you go resort side, it is the same thing no matter where you go. So just maximize the value of the resort to the price that you're getting it for. But if you actually want to go to places or want to experience the cultural aspect, I can literally only tell you about the DR. But Jamaica, I know, has a little bit better infrastructure on how to connect, like for tourists to connect to the cultural aspects. But every other part of the Caribbean just seems almost inaccessible. Like Puerto Rico is the US. Like you can't tell me differently. Like Puerto Rico just feels like visiting, I don't know, Florida. Like it just feels like the same place. And Cuba, try your best to get in there. And yeah, the rest of the Caribbean, it's honestly really copy paste if you're just doing resort side visiting.
Yeah, it makes sense because you can be in a hotel anywhere. It's just still a hotel.
No, yeah, exactly. Well, like Costa Rica lets you zip line, but you can zip line anywhere. It just, maybe you'll see a different bird. Like, like that's basically the difference.
Yeah, I see that. So you want to move to the Oluswole Bowl? It's part of the podcast where we ask you some off the cuff questions.
Off the cuff? What does that mean?
Off the cuff just means that, they're, kind of out there, but they might be related to what we were talking about or unrelated to what we were talking about.
I'm down.
Yeah, it's a little wacky, I guess.
Little wacky.
Yeah, a little wacky. So first one is, would you rather have the game-winning block in a volleyball game or score the game-winning points?
Points. Yeah, for sure points.
Oh.
For sure points. Like, being a hitter it's actually really difficult to remember that there's a team because it's like everyone has their own aspect, but the main ways that you score a point is whether or not your swing is hard enough that it like someone else simply could not pass the ball, or from technical like complications, whatever, or the other team sucking and like not being able to like connect together. But once you have like the baseline done, it's very much the most collaborative person will probably be your setter. And you're always like working with your setter, but you don't really interact with anyone else on the team unless it's a like scrap ball. So yeah, it just feels so amazing to just like, and that's the most impressive type of point where it's like, yeah, no, my swing is so hard, you couldn't even figure out how to like ball control.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Because I don't know a lot about volleyball, but like now that I have that explanation, it makes sense. Yeah. Initially, when I wrote the question, I was thinking, imagine blocking someone, like you're rising at the net and they're trying to spike it. And you're like, bah.
Girl, I literally thought you meant like block as in like team block, as in like, would you rather like win the game, like within a tournament blocks? Right? No, never mind. No, my answer is the complete opposite. No, a block. Okay. No, because it doesn't happen as often as you think. Like you're always going to block. You'll probably most likely get a touch, but it'll just reduce the speed that the ball is coming down. But if you're able to just block and your block is perfect enough that you can make the ball go straight down in between the hitter on the other side and the net, it's ridiculous. No, it's perfect. Especially when you don't touch the net. That's like the biggest problem. But like, especially when you don't touch the net, no, that's when you get the craziest, like, whoa, are you serious? Yeah. For sure. T-block.
Have you gotten any nice blocks on some, when you're on Winter Park?
Yeah. I, like, some of my, like, the counts, like, if you look at a person's stats, they're like, ace counts will probably be higher than your block count. So, like, the amount of, like, serves that you get that don't, like, go over the net.
Like tennis.
Yeah. Wait, how does ace work in tennis? Bro, I know nothing about tennis. I know nothing about most other sports. I have to get like an instruction manual before I would go to our football games. Or like, I figured out basketball, but basketball is pretty easy. But yeah, I don't know just like the other sports. But it's basically when you serve the ball, it goes to the other side and like, it just didn't have a chance to get rallied. But I did have like a couple like few like really satisfying ones, but it's primarily the movements that I most like that were the most memorables were probably the tips, where it's like you think I'm gonna like hit, but I just like move the ball to the side. And if you do it quick enough and it's like not a hit itself, then like, yeah, those are probably the best.
I've seen some of those, like that little tap you do, and then
Yeah.
it lands on the floor, and everyone's like, "Hey," high-fiving each other, and all that.
No, really. Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah.
And for the last Oluswole Bowl question,
There's only two?
huh?
There's only two?
I got
So disappointing. Anyway, continue.
actually I have 3, but I just wasn't sure if I'd have time to squeeze in a third one. I thought you might be in a rush.
The
but,
fans. No.
yeah. All right. Then secondly, would you rather be ridiculously fast at typing or ridiculously fast at reading?
Reading. Easy. No, easy. Bro, I already, like, I type with my fingers. I have, like, an index. It's probably one of my worst traits. One of my, like, most embarrassing traits. But don't care. Like, reading quickly has always been an issue. Like, I've gotten better at it once I immerse myself within the humanities. But reading quickly just seems, like, amazing. Yeah. Way more impressive than being a fast typer.
Exactly.
For sure.
Because even if, like, at some point, right, even if you're a really fast typer,
Yeah.
how is that benefiting you? You know what I mean? Like, how is someone who can type 120 words per minute that much better than someone who can type like 85 words per minute? It doesn't make that much of a difference.
I think it both depends on, like, your job, but also I don't know. I'm trying to remember, because me and friends, like just playing typing games, I don't know, because we're bored. And it's like, who's the quickest typer? Because I feel like this is where this question came from. But like, we was like, who's the quickest typer? And like figuring out, and like, if you scroll down on those websites on the bottom, it talks about how much of a better percentage chance you'll get a job if you have these like typing skills. I would assume it'd be good for coding because you can like stream through the process really quickly or at the speed that you're thinking. And I also think it would be really cool if I could type an essay at the speed that I think something. Like, I think that'd be really cool. But it's way cooler, way more utility analysis. Yeah. It's way more utility to like be able to read and comprehend things as quickly as possible.
I agree with you. And as econ majors, we both know a thing or two about utility.
We both
know. We both know.
Yes. Yeah.
And then lastly, for the third question, would you rather travel the world for a year with all expenses paid, or have someone give you $85K and you can do whatever you want with it? You have to spend it though. So you can spend that $85K on whatever.
No, of course. 85. Well, like 85K for sure. Like, if money didn't exist in this world, I think my life purpose would just be building silly things. Like, just give me a computer with Autodesk CAD. Let me draw some things in 3D. Let me print it. Like, let me like go design something. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be creative work, but I just like, yeah. No, actually it is. It probably is mostly creative work. And I would want the facilities to be able to do that. And I think a lot of that requires location. So being able to live somewhere that like a Manhattan, where you're able to have more personal networks. And be connected to people and collaborate with people that like have the same heart as you. I think I would get really tired of traveling. I don't know. I feel that's such a like, what is it called? Where it's like uncommon opinion, but it's like the out of pocket version. What is it called? My unpopular opinion is like, that's what it's called. But I feel like everyone's like, oh my God, I want to travel before I die. I want to see the world before I die. And I'm like, what do you want to see? The San Francisco Bridge? Like, dude, I don't know. I think there's a lot of experiences that I would like to have, but I can't imagine doing any of those experiences alone and actually having fun. I think the biggest part of that is the communal aspect, is the doing it with another person, which is what leads me to believe that it's more of me valuing spending time with another person than like actually the point of traveling. The only reason why I would choose traveling is that I would get to have a break for a year and just lay on a beach. But I'm excited to go see monuments at some point and like see like the Louvre. And I would love to see all of the paintings in there, but I don't think it like provides that much more utility than me, I don't know, Googling it. Like, yeah, I can just go through Google Maps and like experience it on my own.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on the podcast. This was a great episode.
This was amazing. This was so much fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah. Oluswole's on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We're on TikTok. So, helicopter. Thank you guys for listening, and peace.